Okay, hey guys. Just figured I'd show you me installing power supplies into this case here, and also give you an update on what I've been doing. As you can see, I've actually finally finished the 24 pin for this power supply that I got. All the other cords I'm not going to be able to do much with right now because I don't have the connections I need to replace them. This 24 pin here is also completed. There's the +4, actually. There it is. Alright, there we go. Okay, so yeah, this one's done as well. All I have to do is just start it up. I'll plug it in and it's all that stuff. But yeah, so what I'm going to be doing today is just kind of taking out the different parts here and putting them into here, and also explaining why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So this way you can take the knowledge that I give you from this and apply it to whatever case design you have. So now people have a different kind of case design. They may decide to do it one way or do it another. And I'll kind of go over the different options you can do as well while going over what I'm doing. So alright, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to get some of this stuff out of the way. So, I don't know if you can see it, but over here, because when I was moving the camera around, you can see that this is these are the top fans here. They're 230mm fans. For one of the cases I'm looking at, it's pretty much going to have a design like this. It's pretty big. But, I'm just going to run these. I'm going to replace these eventually because most of the fans this case came with were really horrible and bad. They just didn't have as much airflow as I really needed for it. And that really was what killed my system for the most part, because the power supply overheated way too easily. But also other factors as well, being I didn't have it arranged properly for the airflow. Now, the two power supplies I'm going to be installing are my 1000 watt right here, the replaced power, and then the second one is my Ultra, right here. Alright, so one of the big things you're going to see with this, and later on down the road, I'm going to take the two top fans in these power supplies and I'm going to replace them for better airflow. Because I noticed this one here actually has 11 fan blades, while this one here only has 10 fan blades. So, messes with the airflow a bit, and I want to make sure, especially this 1000 watt here, that it stays nice and cool. Alright, so there are a few things I got to work on here. One of them being, I've got to look into getting an extension for this cabling on here, because the motherboard reaches a lot farther than I'd like it to. Okay? I've already shown you guys the bits power and that works and all that stuff, so we're not going to worry about showing that right now. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take these power supplies and I'm going to mount them into the case. Let me check something real quick. I need to make sure I have everything I need. Some of the things that I have to have in this case, such as I have to have rubber inserts, not inserts, but rubber pieces that belong in the bottom of this case. I do not see the original ones that were in this case. I'll pick up the camera. If you guys can see it. You can see it right here. It's a little rubber piece the power supply sits on. So when you mount it into the case here, you've actually got it mounted on, and then it's sitting up against these little rubber pieces here. So this way, you still got a little gap for airflow, and you've also got plenty of room to keep the vibration and noise down. Now I'm going to be installing the 550 here. I'm going to install the 1000 watt here. Now my simple reason for doing that, the extension cord that the case comes with really isn't designed to pull 1,000 watts. It just isn't. So instead of worrying about how much wattage I'm going to be pulling off this thing, I'm just going to install it with the 550 here, and I'm going to install a 1,000 watt here so I can run the proper 1,000 watt cable. Always look at how thick a cord is before deciding what kind of power supply you're going to run on it. If it's really thin, like it feels like you could easily just squeeze it or whatever, and that sounds ridiculous, but it's a good reference point, then you don't want a high watt power supply like this to be installed into it. So that's why I'm running it this way. It's one of the reasons. So from this orientation, I'm going to have to use my legs. Okay. So it's a simple slide in, place it. Now if this were laying flat, it would be much easier. But it's not. Well, they did a number on my wrist. Okay. Now this is the wrong orientation I'm going to want it on, and here's my reason. If you look right here, the fan's facing that way, which means it'll be drawing air from this area. Now that's alright, that can be alright because there are going to be a lot of fans facing in, because I've got 2 fans on this side, I got 2 fans on the other side of the drives, so it could work that way. But because of the way it is, I don't want to run it that way. So instead, I flip it the other way. A minute. And now the fan is facing the other way. You get a nice block spot there, and it'll be installed like that. I really wish I had some extra hands. So I'm going to have to place this. It's falling. I think. I hope. Okay. There's the screwdriver. Okay. So. Sorry. Alright. So first you find the points where the screws are going to be mounted. Line this up. Once you line it up, hold on. Dang it. This is really quite hard. Let me see. Because I know it can be placed in both orientations. It's just not wanting to work with me for some reason. Alright, there we go. Okay. So there's the first screw. And that's mounted. Alright. Here we go. Now I can actually do it without having to use my other hand. Okay. Now I go screw by screw till the whole thing's mounted in. So, part of the reason I'm having the fans face the way they are is because I want to make the airflow independent of the rest of the system. I don't want it to rely on the system at all. Therefore, eliminating any need for it to get anything from the outside of the system. The big reason for this is because when you've got so much airflow in a case, and if the airflow is counterproductive to your case, I mean in this case, I've got a total of, oh lord, let me see, 4, 6, 8, about 8 intake fans alone. With 8 intake fans, you can get a lot of airflow out of it. But if you got 2 exhaust fans added into that, with the top 2 exhaust fans, it can create equal pressure or negative pressure. What I'm trying to do is create a positive airflow pressure. Golly, I hate when she does that. I'm trying to create a positive airflow pressure, or is it a negative? I gotta remember, it's one or the other. But I want the case to suck in more air through the holes and crevices it's got, not push out more air. Or no, it's the other way around. No, it's the other way around. Okay. No, I want it to push out more air, which means that's a positive, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure of airflow specifics. You can go over to Jay's 2 Cents channel, and he's got a great way he explains it for airflow of a case and all that, for positive and negative and all that stuff. But I specifically want to make sure the airflow has more air going out of it than coming into it. So that's why I'm running it the way I am. Okay, as you can see, we'll be mounting this right here, most likely. So this way all this can just go pop in, real simple, real easy. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna mount that in. Shouldn't be that hard. Once that's mounted in, it'll be just plug and play. So that's pretty much what I needed to do for that one, to get that mounted in and all that. So now we're going to go around to the back side. And I'll kind of skip to it. So now we're around here to the back side of the case, where I'm going to be installing the 1000-watt power supply, and also clean it up a bit because there's a lot of different sticky stuff on it that I don't want on it. It's really easy to get off. Just got to do it. But anyways, beside the point. So here we're just going to take a very simple process. We're going to take out the screws, and then we're going to take and we're going to install the new power supply. Unfortunately, because I don't have the rubber insert, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to lay it on here, or on the actual mounting in here. But I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, and I'll worry about that later. So for right now, let's just go ahead and get this first step taken care of, and that's getting the screws out. So yeah, I'm pretty much just trying to work on all this, getting it done. I've been trying to get all the parts together so I can get this system running, but it's hard to find the parts, and my big parts person I was going to has kind of restricted their what's the word I'm looking for? Output of parts. Yeah, they've been updating their website, so it makes it a little difficult to handle this stuff. Got my little custom plate. Pretty awesome. Gave it a nice paint job. But yeah, so now we're going to transition over to kind of doing the same thing I did with the other one, and that's just kind of plugging it in. But give me a minute, I gotta go get something. Be right back. Sorry, I had to go grab a paper towel. I actually went to pull off the panel, and it's actually got quite a little residue from the coolant leak on the back of here, so gotta clean that off. I want that to be on there. Alright, just about done. But yeah, I'm just trying to get everything I need done with this so I can get it running, and maybe even start upgrading it to some extent. This way you guys can kind of see different ways you can make your system better without paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get new parts. Oops, sorry, I'm getting in the way of the camera. Oh Lord. I did not think of that positioning well. Oh well. There we go. And there's the power supply. Now this doesn't have the insert on the bottom, so it's a little shaky. So when the fan gets going, it's gonna... Sorry about that. Video decided to cut out. So, a lot of the cords here you see, I'm not going to be using. Most of the ones I'm going to use are like this one here for the 24-pin connection. This one here for the actual 4-pin connection. This other 24-pin here from the actual other device. And I might end up just kind of clipping these cables. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to decide that, whether or not I want to do that or not. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of keep it the way it is. And I'll decide what to do later on. But yeah, I still have enough room to at least install one of my 140mm fans at the bottom, which I really am glad about, because it means I'll be able to have a little bit more airflow on the bottom, so I'll be able to fit one of the 140s here. Yeah, I'll be able to fit one right there. Be a little tighter, but not as bad as some of it might have been. Yeah. Cool. But, yeah. One of the things I'm going to do down the line for sure is I've got this, 6 to 8 pin. I'm going to take one of these other, like, Mullix connections. I'm going to completely take off one of the 12-volt lines and one of the ground lines, and I'm going to wire it into this other 6-pin here and completely replace that. I'm also going to take all these power connections, like the 24-pin here, well, not that 24-pin, but the 24-pin that goes directly into the hub here. I'm going to replace them all with red 24-pin connections. My reason for doing that is I want to give it some kind of semblance of difference in power, so this way you know, okay, this is main power and this is secondary power and da-da-da-da. Kind of like the way this hub is designed, where you've got the black pins here for peripherals and then the red pins for everything else. I kind of like that design to it, and it gives it a little bit more of a uniqueness, but it also allows you to kind of differentiate between what's what. But I will probably be doing more videos soon. I don't know what on, but I will have to figure that out. But for right now, this is what I have set up and planned. I have been working on this, getting this done out of the way for the longest time now, and now that I finally have it done, I figured I wanted to let you guys see it. But I hope this was a help to you guys. Some of the other ways I could have done it, I didn't even think about that at the time. Some of the other ways I could have done it is I could have mounted it the other way around with a different orientation, flipped two of the fans on this side and this side, or flipped one of each fan on each side to an exhaust instead, and that would have balanced the airflow. But I really didn't want to do that. I'm going to be putting it back together. I'm going to be adding that back onto the bottom, because right now I don't have what I need for what I want to do, and that's the extra steel and the cutting tools I need to extend the case. Because at one point I'm going to extend this case much higher than its actual design, and I'm going to add in an AC unit to it so it can cool much better than what it does. I'm also going to do a little bit of testing with it, kind of get a new idea out there on how you can liquid cool something. and we're going to see how that goes. I'm actually going to either use this or I'm going to use Phobia liquid cooling, because this stuff is amazing. Like, it worked so well in my system. It had no problems. The only problem I ever had with it wasn't even a problem with it. It was a problem with the vinyl tubing, because the vinyl tubing started to degrade as it went on. But also I'm going to replace the fans. The fans need to be replaced, no matter how you look at it. They're just, yeah. Shoot. I keep saying there I go again. The top fans I'm going to be replacing with Bits Power fans, red. Go figure, right? With eventually a fan controller on the front. Haven't decided which one I'm going to go with, but it's probably going to be a higher wattage. One of the big things I'm going to need to start doing is cutting this out, creating a cutout for it and all that, so we can actually get that done. Shoot, sorry. The Molex connections I'm most likely going to get rid of, and I'm going to just run like one Molex bridge across it, and just run all the Molex connections off of that. That's what I'm thinking of doing for that. But I know for this here, I have a Molex connection for that, and I think I'm going to take that, I'm going to clip it off and just run it that way. Just strip it down, do the cabling for that and all that. Once I have all the parts, I'm going to do a full build guide on this. I'm going to take all the different things I did with this, and I'm going to kind of do a little overlap kind of what I did in here. I'm going to kind of cut out all the audio that I've done on these, and I'm just going to give you essentially a guide to how I did it and all that. And I'm going to do that probably once I have all the parts for this. Yeah. Anyways, I hope this was a help to you guys, because honestly, that's all I do this for, to give you information to help you. Otherwise, I really don't have a reason to do this. So, I'll see you guys later, and hope to see you in the next video.